This morning's reading is a Kabbalistic creation story by Naomi Newman. In the beginning, before there were any beginnings or endings, there was no place that was not already God. We call this unimaginable openness Ein Sof, beginning without end, world without end, Ein Sof. Then came the urge to give life to our world and us, but there was no place that was not already God. So Ein Sof breathed in to make room, like a father steps back so his child will walk to him. And we call this withdrawing, Sim Sum. Into the emptiness, Ein Sof set vessels and began to fill them with divine light, like a mother places bowls in which to pour her delicious soup. We call these bowls Kalim. As the light poured forth, a perfect world was being created. Think of it, a world without greed and cruelty and violence. But then something happened. The Kalim shattered. No one knows why. Perhaps the bowls were too frail, perhaps the light too intense. Perhaps Ein Sof was learning. After all, no one makes perfect the first time. With the shattering of the bowls, the divine sparks flew everywhere, some rushing back to Ein Sof, some falling, trapped in broken shards to become our world and us. Though this is hard to believe, the perfect world is all around us, but broken into jagged pieces, like a puzzle thrown to the floor, the picture lost, each piece without meaning until someone puts them back together again. We are that someone. There is no one else. We are the ones who can fit the broken pieces, remember how they go together, and rejoin them. And we call this repair of the world Tikkun Olam. In every moment, with every act, we can heal our world and us. We are all holy sparks, dulled by separation. But when we meet and talk and eat and make love, when we work and play and disagree with holiness in our eyes, seeing Ein Sof everywhere, then our brokenness will end. Then our bowls will be strong enough to hold the light, and our light gentle enough to fill the bowls. As we repair the world together, we will learn that there is no place, no person, no land, sea, or air being, no plant, tree, or rock that is not God. Please join me in a spirit of prayer and meditation. After our spoken prayer and a time of silence, we will sing together Spirit of Life, hymn number 123, which is printed in your order of service. Our prayer this morning is by Laura Horton Ludwig. Spirit of life and love, we are here because we believe what we do matters. We are here because we believe how we live our life matters. that with every act of kindness or meanness, courage or fear, love or hate, we are weaving the fabric of the universe that holds us all. We are here because we need encouragement, because we need strength, because so often we get distracted. We get in a rush. We don't think. We choose the easy way when the harder path is what our spirits truly long for. We are here because none of us is perfect. But together, we inspire one another to try again, to take another step. We are here because we have felt the stirrings of love and grace in our hearts and hands, and we crave more of that for ourselves, and not only for ourselves, for everyone. We are here because how we live matters. Blessed be. I sat down on Tuesday to write my sermon for today, Tikkun Olam, a good title. But as soon as I translated the words into English, I was immediately overwhelmed by the topic I had chosen, Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. Repairing the world is really just too big of a task for a Tuesday. The world is so broken. As I stared at the blank page, I was still feeling raw from building our Black Lives Matter altar last Sunday. And I had just come from visiting a man on hospice who's ready to die, but whose body keeps hanging on. And on the radio on the way home, I heard stories of thousands and thousands of refugees being treated as less than human, and of a police officer taking his own life, of oil companies hiding the truths of climate change. Repairing the world, I thought? Impossible. We are too broken. It's amazing what other chores you can accomplish when a blank page is waiting for you. You become extremely productive in other areas. A week or more ago, Lisa had found a forgotten silver-plated serving tray as we went through boxes. Yes, we moved over 3 years ago, and yes, we still have some unpacked boxes. She had left the dark and cloudy tray on the table with a jar of silver polish, but neither of us had had time to do more. Suddenly, polishing the tray became urgent, something that really should be done before any sermon writing could take place. I read the instructions on the jar. Start in one small area, it said. In a gentle circular motion, extend outward from the center. At first, it didn't seem like anything was happening. I rubbed in circles in the center of the blackened tray. Suds formed from the polish, but no change was taking place. I was tempted to move on to a different part of the tray, to forget the small circles and make wider, more powerful scrubbing motions. But I kept at it. Eventually, I noticed a change. A small circle at the center of the tray was lightening. When I wiped away the suds, I saw that it was bright under there, not quite shiny, but markedly different than the surrounding area. There was an intricate design in the tray that I hadn't seen before. Now the etched spirals of the engraving stood out sharply against the silver. I kept at it, slowly widening the circumference of my work, but maintaining the small circular motion. Almost an hour later, my work was being rewarded, and that kept me going. The improvement was remarkable. When finally I rinsed it under warm water and dried it with a cloth as directed, the tray sparkled. I tilted it back and forth in my hands to see the light play off it. The tray was beautiful. Not perfect, but completely transformed. That task completed, it was time to start thinking about repairing the world again. Where did that Jewish mandate come from? Tikkun Olam is not found in the Bible, but rather in the Mishnah, or rabbinical teachings from the 2nd century reflecting on the Bible. There it means guarding the established order. But the idea of Tikkun Olam from our opening reading comes not from the Bible or from the Mishnah, but from the last great myth infused into Jewish tradition, a cosmological myth created in the 16th century by the great Jewish mystic Rabbi Isaac Luria of Safed, known as the Ari. Ari taught that at the beginning of time, God's presence filled the universe. And when God decided to bring this world into being to make room for creation, he drew in his breath, creating darkness. And when God said, "Let there be light," the primordial light that came into being filled the darkness and was put into 10 holy vessels. Then God sent those 10 vessels like a fleet of ships, each carrying its cargo of light. Had they all arrived intact, the world would have been perfect. But the vessels were too fragile to contain such a powerful divine light. They broke open, split asunder, and all the holy sparks were scattered like sand, like seeds, like stars. Those sparks fell everywhere. That is why we were created, he taught, to gather the sparks no matter where they are hidden. And when enough holy sparks have been gathered, the broken vessels will be restored, and Tikkun Olam, the repair of the world, so long awaited, will finally be complete. This concept, rooted in medieval Jewish mysticism, has become central in many Reform Jewish teachings. Tikkun Olam has come to mean a commitment to social and environmental justice, gluing back the pieces of the broken world through acts of witness, protest, charity, and solidarity. Although most modern Jews are unaware of the mythic context out of which Tikkun Olam emerged, says scholar Howard Schwartz, the concept itself continues to enchant and energize us. We look at the world around us and see that it is deeply in need of repair. And we are still able to hear the ancient calling that tells us that we must take responsibility for it ourselves, that each of us must do our own part in our own time. So what is our part? What can we do to heal the world, flawed, imperfect human people that we are, with lives that call us into a million directions and hearts that break when filled with too much sadness? What can we do in the face of such a broken world? Suddenly, the task of polishing the silver tray does not seem disconnected from the sermon anymore. The directions are the same anyway, for polishing silver or for healing the world. Focus on one small part at a time. Start at the center of the tray. Start with who or what is in front of you right now. Do not become overwhelmed by the big picture, the vast tray, the whole broken earth. Do not become weighed down by your own smallness and limitations. There is healing in small circles, too. I'm reminded of the story of the little girl who was late coming home for supper. Her mother demanded to know where she had been. The little girl replied that she had stopped to help her friend Janie, whose bicycle had broken in a fall. "But you don't know anything about fixing bicycles," her mother responded. "I know," said the girl. "I just stopped to help her cry." Last Sunday during our service, we helped 2 women to cry, and they told us that it was life-changing. What other small things can we do to heal each other, to heal our world, to heal our earth? Even if it is picking up trash on the beach, even if it is bringing soup to a sick friend, even if it is writing letters to senators that they might never read, even if it is holding a protest sign or taking in a homeless cat, even if it is just smiling at someone who is lonely. When we do these things, we are doing our small part. How small these things seem in the face of a broken world. But how holy these things are when we think of them as Tikkun Olam, as acting out the divine light within ourselves and seeking out the divine light in others. In every moment, with every act, we can heal our world and us. We are all holy sparks, dulled by separation. But when we meet and talk and eat and make love, when we work and play and disagree with holiness in our eyes, seeing Ein Sof everywhere, then our brokenness will end. In just a moment, I'm going to ask my helpers to come forward. They will be bringing to each of you a Band-Aid. Now, a Band-Aid is a small thing, but it helps us to heal, to repair. And though our world is such a broken place, each of us can act in small ways to bring about healing and repair too. I want you to think of one thing you can do this week that will help the world. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be small. It can be something to help our earth, a stranger, a friend. It can be a physical act, or it can be a symbolic gesture, a financial offering, or an emotional one. Anything that promotes peace and healing. With your Band-Aid, you'll also be getting a marker you'll have to share with your pewmates. Unwrap your Band-Aid and use the marker to write or draw on it a word or symbol that represents the one thing you can do this week, the commitment to healing that you are willing to make. And when you are done, I invite you to come forward with your Band-Aid and put it on our world. Please come up this way and go back to your seats through these 2 aisles. Let's cover our world with our healing efforts. If my helpers will come forward now, we will begin. Adrian Rich writes, "My heart is moved by all I cannot save. So much has been destroyed. I have to cast my lot with those who, age after age, perversely and with no extraordinary power, reconstitute the world. Let us cast our lot there too. Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. Amen, and blessed be." Please join me in the spirit of our opening story in singing our closing hymn, number 118, "This Little Light of Mine." Please rise.